Hi everyone, it's Hazel from Empowering Your Circle. And it's really important to think about when you suffer from lack of confidence, the reasons for it. There can be lots of different reasons why you might be feeling less than confident. Perhaps you are returning to work after you've taken a career break. Perhaps you've been overlooked for a promotion when you thought that that was something you should be able to have. Perhaps, you know, if you look in your personal life, lots of things have happened to you where you feel like, I can't get through this. Potentially, you face redundancy and it makes you feel like you don't have the skills that you should and really do know that you do have deep down. Um, there's a lot of reasons why you might feel less than confident in any part of your life, but let's focus on a bit of career and business at the minute. It could be that you've started a new business and you really and truly are not sure whether you've made that right decision. It's an overwhelm. There is so much going on. And especially as well, not just if you've started your own business from scratch, but imagine if you've come from a corporate environment and suddenly you are faced with, oh my gosh, I have to do everything myself. I'm used to having an IT department, a HR department. There's a lot of reasons why you might feel less than confident. So that's all great. And we know that there's lots of reasons. But what is it that we need in our lives to help us get through those next steps? What is it that we need to feel that we can again have that confidence that we had? So, a little bit of that is, thinking about what triggers that confidence. What's happened to you that's made you feel that way? So, I've listed a number of things at the beginning, but once you start to actually work through it and understand it and name it, it is a lot easier to actually understand how to respond to that and rebuild your confidence. So, I'm here to tell you on a personal level, I have been through a very rocky journey in the last 24 to 36 months. When you lose people that you love in your personal lives, it can affect you in a number of different ways. It can knock your confidence, especially if that person was a confidant to you, that person you looked up to, that person that you admired, that person that you had a foremost, connection with. So that happened to me when I lost my dad. Um, and just on about 6 months later, I was made redundant. And that became an even bigger shock than losing my dad, because we knew that my dad, wasn't well. Um, but when you become redundant, it knocks you for six. And it did for me because I wasn't expecting it. And so I cried and I was upset, and I guess I was a bit angry. And you go through all of the stages, the 5 stages of grief. And I feel like you need to do that though. You need to understand a little bit more about why it's happened and understand the reality of it wasn't your fault, right? But that's a very hard thing to come through. To try and understand something is a business decision when it's happening to you personally is really hard to come to terms with. So, but I've done it. And I know a lot of people have gone through it, and it takes a while and there's a lot of resilience involved to get you through it. But sometimes it's actually the better thing to have happened. So that happened to me. So that was two things. Then I lost my mum, and that was the biggest thing out of all three of them, I think, because she was living with us and she was my missing jigsaw piece. So she was not with me anymore. And those three things have been a triple whammy, and they had knocked my confidence 100% to the side. But it's really important to understand that we are all here for a reason. We all bring strengths and skill sets to everything we do, whether it is in our work, in our personal lives, wherever it is, we are here for a reason. So when you start to understand the reason your confidence was knocked. And when you can work through it to understand it wasn't your fault, or it wasn't something that was, maybe it was something out of your control. When you think about the why, the reasoning, you grieve things. When you lose something, you grieve it, you have to. But you come out the other side and you start to understand the reasons for what has happened and why your confidence has been knocked so much. So I have met numerous people in the past who have returned to their careers and have been very stressed and lacking in confidence to such a degree that they have almost given up. Is this the right thing for me? And when you get knockbacks from companies because you've had a career break, for example, that knocks your confidence. You start to feel, well, have I made the right move? Is this really what I should be doing? So what I want to say to you is, yes, it should be, right? All of that brilliant transferable skills that you had before you went on maternity leave or took a career break for whatever reason, you have those skill sets still. So that means that you can go back into work. And yes, you might have to refresh a little bit. And you may have to take up some new courses that maybe there's new things that you have to learn. But believe you me, it's worth it. And we all have to do it. If you start in a new company, you have to learn new things. So it's very important to realize we all start again. We're always starting again. Whenever we think about where we've come from in the past, when you think about your children start school, they finish primary school. If they don't stay in the same school, then they have to start again. And then they start again when they go to university, and then they start again when they get a new job. And so we're always having to refresh. But the one thing that we should be taking with us is the confidence in the knowledge of what we are taking forward with us. So we know that when we know the reason, when we think about the why and the reasoning behind it, and we name it, and then we start thinking about, what can we do to make sure that we can rebuild our confidence when it fails, when we don't have that confidence in us anymore. That comes from thinking about, well, when did I feel confident? When was that confidence? When did I feel it? Take yourself back to that space. Think about, that's when I felt the most confident, because that's a really good starting place. And also get a piece of paper and a pen and write down achievements. What have I achieved? And sometimes you can sit there and think, oh, I don't think I've achieved anything, and start putting yourself down again. Stop. Because that is a silly thing to do. Every one of us has achieved something. So think about, I don't know, have a 1 to 10 and put 1. Walk away from it. Don't get stressed if you only have 1 listed. Walk away, be doing other things, and that will be sitting in the back of your mind, kind of just going round and around. You might not even know it's happening. And then hopefully not at 2:00 in the morning, by the way, but you will probably start to actually think about number 2 and number 3 and number 4, and there'll be lots of things, right? So it's really important. What is it? I got a job in a place I really wanted to be. I, got my license. I presented for the first time ever. I've never presented before anything in my life. I traveled by myself for the first time overseas. I drove around the M25 and felt comfortable and confident. And I have to say that was one of mine, because when we arrived from Australia, I was like, oh my God, I'm dreading about going on the M25. And when I'd done the M25, not all the way around, by the way, but when I'd been on the M25 with all the cars going, shh, I was like, oh my God, I just drove on the M25. I know that probably sounds really silly to some people, but for me, it was one of those things I'd mastered and I'd achieved. So it doesn't have to be a really big thing. It can be a really small thing. But it's what makes you feel you've achieved something. And that means that when you can start writing things down that you have achieved something, that should make you feel confident. If you can do it in one way, you can do it in another. So think about your levels of confidence and think about the reasons you are feeling less than confident now. Think about how you're going to get through those things. And a lot of that time is to set some time aside to understand it, to grieve, to then come out the other side with I know where I felt the most confident. These are the things I've achieved. I know that now I can go ahead in my life and start again because I have those skill sets, I have those strengths. And if you have to change around a little bit, because we do, life is not just a linear, straightforward thing, then take it from me, it is really important to be kind to yourself while you are going through the process of rediscovering your confidence. It doesn't just happen overnight. It means stepping into a new space sometimes, and sometimes that fear will come in because it's new. But when you take yourself back to where you were confident, that fear will start to subside. So it's really important to start feeling like the confidence is there inside of you. But you have to name what the problem was, the reasons you are where you are right now, and how you're going to bring yourself back from a previous space where you felt really confident into, I'm back, I'm here. Because we're all going to have dips. So hopefully that feeling of confidence is going to start coming back to you. All right, but the power to get that confidence back is inside you. So thank you for listening. It's Hazel for Empowering Your Circle. And if you do need any help with your, building your confidence and things, that is what I can do, right? I can do that with my training with you. And I do help a lot of people overcome that barrier of not having that confidence. So I look forward to speaking with you soon. And look forward to our next podcast where I'm giving you some information, but also we've got some amazing guests coming up. So if you'd love to be a guest as well on my podcast, head to my website as well to find out all of what I do, but also to go to the page that's about the podcast and go down to the bottom and fill out the form. So looking forward to hearing from you soon, and share, get involved. But I'll speak to you soon. Thanks, everyone. Bye.